So I'm back fishing for a pike, and trust me, I cannot wait to get a day session pike fishing today. It's now into February. I was up last week, I did blank. I'll show you a wee bits of clips of that as the video goes on. But in today's video, throughout the whole video, I'm going to give you tips, I'm going to give you advice on how I fish for the pike, and that's going to in return help you catch not only pike, but bigger and more pike. If you're new to pike fishing and you've never done it before, I've done a video which is a complete guide on dead baiting for pike. I'll put a link up to here right now where you can click on it and you can watch that video. In the description I'm going to put a full playlist of videos where it's individual chapters so you can look at different aspects of pike fishing, whether it be from regarding nets to different bait runner reels to anything to do with dead baiting with pike, especially when it comes to the essential equipment that you're needing. All the chapters are there in the description. Now I'm back to this spot that I was back in November where Rebecca caught two cracking pike. She got one at £18 and one at £17. I got one at £12. Not as good as Rebecca's, but it was still a double. So it's a good location. I'm back here today, and throughout this video, as I said, I'm going to give you tips and advice on how I set up for dead baiting for pike and how I'm going to fish. In return, through watching how I fish for the pike, I hope that gives people help in helping their pike fishing. But if you want to watch any of the videos where you can see Rebecca catching her pike, the links for the videos are also in the description as well. When it comes to pike fishing, I'm now into February, so I've not been fishing for a few months, just with family commitments and also being Christmas back in December. I've not been able to get out. I'm not going to make excuses, I've been desperate to get back out, but I'm back at it today, and hopefully through today we catch some decent pike. But enough of me talking, let's go catch some pike, eh? So with it being February, next month in March the pike will start going into spawning, so it is getting to that time of the year where you need to be more careful with the pike picking up the dead bait and deep hooking. So as you can see, I've got all my gear and everything that I'm going to be using today quite close. So I've got my chair sitting here, so I'm right next to the rods, my net's right there, my hooking mat's right there, weighing sling, my big camera so I can show any pike that I do catch, and then I've got all my tools that I'm going to be using to unhook the pike and stuff like that. This is the bait that I'm going to be using today. Got a bream, I've got a sardine, and I've also got a buoy. Bait boat sitting there, bucket with all the oils, so everything's sitting close, so it's at hand, and it means I can grab it as soon as I need it. So in this bivvy, I've got all my stuff that I'm not using, as in like my bag, my bivvy bag and stuff like that. I've got a drone there in the back, if it weather's nice enough I'll use that. Keeping all my rubbish to the side, all my food's in another bag over there. So in the bivvy at the moment, it's just everything that I'm not using, keep it out the road. So when it comes to this bream, because how big it is, I'm going to be using a bait boat to send it out. It's too big for my 10-foot rod to cast out, plus I mostly use this bait boat to get my bait a further distance and also keep it more accurate to where I want to put my bait each time I put it cast out. So with this, I've got a 3-line weight. With this I've got a free running weight, as you can see, and it's just a case of positioning it in the bait boat so when you cast, well, when you press the button so that the bait boat chucks your bait out, it doesn't get tangled. So you just make sure your wire trace is out the road from that, and then it's just a case of make sure your bail arm's open, slack line, and just send out. So to start off with, I'm probably only going to go about 20 feet. So I'm not going out that far. See, a lot of people just automatically, when it comes to dead baiting, will chuck out their baits and cast it as far as they can. And what you do is, when you do that, is you stand a chance of missing any pike that's closer in. Now, even though it's still cold today, it's sunny, so it means the water in the shallow water is going to warm up quicker. Therefore, that's going to draw the bait fish in, and it means the pike are going to then follow them in. So if you've got a bait in the water, you may as well stick one in close as well. And I like to tear it out, so I put one in close and then the middle rod a wee bit further, and then my right rod I'll cast out as far as I can. That's what I'm going to do today. So in locations like this, you can see it's quite rocky. So when it comes to tightening up your line to your weight, so you're getting a proper bite indication as soon as that pike touches it, you need to make sure that your line's tight to the weight and not snagged around a rock. So the best way to do that is when your bait's sinking to the bottom. Now on this occasion I was using the bait boat and it sunk to the bottom. I then lifted my rod up as high as I can. I tighten up the line a wee bit till I feel the line tight to the weight, and then when I do that, I'll then slowly move my rod up like this, so you can see there my bait is actually moved back. Now I can feel that in the rod. You can't really see it perfect in the camera, but I could actually feel my line was tight to the weight, and I could feel the dead bait moving. And the reason I could feel it moving is because I've got air in the stomach of the bream, so it's popped up off the bottom, and I could feel that moving about. So it's hard to describe it on camera, but when you're doing this you can feel the difference between your line being tight to the weight or being into a rock when you do this. So now that I've lifted this up and there's a wee slight bit of slack line, I'm now going to tighten back down to the weight, and as you can see there, the line's completely tight. If I go to lift this rod up a wee slight bit, you can see it's just slightly starting to bend a wee bit. My line's completely tight to that weight without actually moving the bait. Now it's just a case of taking the rod back. So now that I'm back to where my bait alarm is, my rod rest, I've held my rod up high the whole time so the line isn't going into the water and is not going to catch on the rocks. I've done this slowly but gradually walking back, so I know that my line is completely tight to the weight, it's not going to be caught in any of the rocks. And then as you go to place it down, you just wind it down slowly. As you can see, my line is completely tight to the weight. So doing it this way, the way that I've done it, I've made sure that my line is not caught in a rock, it's direct to the weight, and I've now got the proper bite indication. And what's going to give me that indication with the tight lines to the weight is the backdrop indicator. If the fish comes towards me, or if the fish takes the bait away, you're going to have your bait alarm telling you that the line's gone out. And that's that rod now set. Now that rod is set in close, 20 yards out. My next rod, the middle one, that's going to go straight out in the middle, and I'm going to cast that out maybe around about 30 yards. So the left one is to the left, the middle one's going to go in the middle a wee bit further out, and then the right one is going to go slightly to the right, and that's probably going to go about 40 yards out. That way you're covering it across, and you're covering deeper parts of the water. So as I briefly try to explain as I was setting out my rods and stuff like that, you want proper bite indication. As I always say in the other videos that I've done in the past, if you've been watching them, proper bite indication when it comes to pike fishing is the most essential thing possible, because pike are a bit greedy when it comes to their bait. They'll just swallow it right down, and you end up with problems with what they call deep hooking, as in the hooks in the back of the throat, or even in some cases it can be into the stomach, and you want to completely avoid that. And the way to avoid that is having proper bite indication, so you strike straight away as soon as that pike picks the bait up. And in return, by doing that, what's going to happen is the hooks are going to be in the pike's mouth and not to the back of the throat and not in the stomach. That last fish that Sean just caught was extra special because we were able to take two other wire traces out its mouth that wasn't in ours. So this one, as you can see here, that was in its mouth as well, and so was this one here. So there was two wire traces in its mouth already, so we were able to remove that, so it makes this fish even more special because it's now not walking about or swimming about with wire traces in its mouth. So the one that we had was barbless, we got out straight away, and this was what we also took out. So proper bite indication so you don't deep hook a pike is the most essential thing when it comes to dead baiting. A lot of people get scared when it comes to dead baiting because of the teeth. They think they're going to get bitten, they're scared because of how big the pike can be and dealing with trebles, and a lot of beginners get put off with that. And the advice I would give you, as most people would probably say, is get out with somebody who's got experience when it comes to pike fishing and learn it. Do as much research online as you possibly can. Look up videos on YouTube, read books, do whatever you can to get as much knowledge behind you before you even attempt to go pike fishing. And then when you consider actually going pike fishing, go out with somebody with experience so they can show you the correct way to fish for pike, and I don't mean in regards to finding locations. I'm talking about how to actually unhook the pike safely, how to handle the pike. It's all about proper fish care for the pike, which is the most essential thing you can do. So tight lines to the proper bite indication is the most essential thing, and as I briefly was trying to explain here when I was casting out the dead baits, in the location that I'm fishing today, it's quite rocky, and sometimes if you just cast that dead bait as far as you can, sometimes what will happen is that bait will sink to the bottom and you tighten up your line and you think you've tightened up to the weight, but what you've actually done is tighten up to a rock, and then from the rock to your bait is slack line, and that pike can pick that bait up and move about with it and you don't get any bite indication because it's slack from the rock. So what you've got to do is cast your bait out, let it sink to the bottom. Once your bait hits the bottom of the weight, the whole time your rod's up high, so your line's up high, and what you're going to do is tighten down your line to the weight, and you're going to do it slowly, and you're going to tighten down your line to the weight so you can feel your line completely tight to the weight, and then you're going to lift your rod up so you can actually feel that weight almost like pop all along the bottom, so you can actually know that you're actually tight to the weight. And by doing that, you know you're tight to the weight and not actually to a rock, because if you lift your rod up and the line just goes from tight to slack, then you know it's been tight to a rock. If you lift your rod up and the line's tight and you can actually feel the weight bobbing along the bottom, that means that you're moving the weight and you're also moving the dead bait, so therefore you know your line's tight to the weight. I hope I've explained that as best I can. So once your line's tight to the weight, you lift up to make sure your line's tight to it by feeling that moving along the bottom. Then retighten your line to the weight and then slowly walk back and release the line out with holding your rod up as high as possible. What that's going to do is keep your line above the water, it's going to keep it tight to the weight, and that means when you get back to your rod rest and you're placing it on, it means you're going to slowly bring that line down and it's going to be tight to your weight and not on a rock. I was trying to explain that as best I can. I hope he's understanding it and it comes across the right way. Sometimes when it comes to doing these types of videos and stuff like that, you know what you're trying to say in your head, but you just can't find the right words to how to describe it. So hoping that I've done that quite well. But doing that and getting your lines tight, using bait alarm so you can tell if your lines get took out and backed up indicators to let you know at the back if your line's coming towards you. It's going to help with the proper bite indication. If there's anything about the pike fishing setup that you're not too sure about, as I said earlier on in the video, I've done a full series of videos going over all different aspects of dead bait for pike. You can watch the videos individually in the chapters, which are the links in the description. But I've done a full video going through everything in one video, which I'll put a link up to here, and you just click on that and you can watch that video. Oops, just a couple of swans just landed there. So it's starting to get a bit brighter, temperature's starting to get a bit warmer. Even though it's getting a bit warmer, it's still very cold. So water temperature, which is important when it comes to pike, is you don't want the water going too warm. Even though it's February, it's still quite cold. So that sun is quite deceiving. Coming down here this morning, it was actually -1. I think it's only about 1 now. So that's at about 30 yards, and as before, keep my rod up, tighten my line down slowly to the weight. I can feel the weight, and I'm going to just lift my rod up a wee bit further, and you're actually feeling, I can actually feel that actually weight bouncing on the bottom. So I'm going to tighten my line back down to that weight slowly. The tip I can give you, when it comes to your bait alarms, use different colours. This one's here is a blue colour, this one here is a red, and then the last one which I'm about to set up is actually a green colour. The good tips about that, having different colours, is it means if it's say night time and it's dark and you can't really see the rods, as soon as one of the lines starts to go, it'll light up that colour and you can tell exactly straight away what one it is. The third rod is going to be a full blue. Now I've injected a wee bit of air into this, as you can see it's a bit puffed out. Now this is a wee bit what you call frost burnt, so I'll see how it goes, and if not, then I've got an idea later on I'm going to try with the baits. I can't even see it because it's on. So from where my rod rest is to where that is, I'd probably say that's run about the 40 yards. So 20 yards, 30 yards and then 40 yards, and it's going out this way. So as before, lift your rod up, tighten your line down to the weight. As soon as you feel your line's tight to the weight, just lift up a wee bit so you can feel the weight moving on the bottom and your bait there. So this is all going by feel, and as soon as you do that, just tighten up your line to the weight again, so you know that your line's completely tight to that weight. The next part to do is keep your bait arm closed, but just slacking off your line very slowly, so your line's getting kept high up above the water because of your rod, and then just ease it out as you walk back. What this is doing here is it's keeping your line tight to the weight, but it means your line isn't getting caught on a rock and it's not snagging. So it means when the time you get back to your rod rest, it means your line's going to be tight to the weight and you're going to get the proper bite indication. That means your weight isn't caught on a rock, it's completely tight to the weight. So it's still quite foggy, that sun's coming out, it's been deceiving, because even though it looks nice, trust me, I've got thermals on, I've got two t-shirts on, and then I've got this hoodie on, and I'm still cold. I might actually go put my bigger jacket on. So it's the middle of February, it's still really cold, but next month the fish are going to go into spawning. So even though this is me only getting back to the deadbait for the pike, this is probably going to be the last trip for the deadbaiting so far. The next bit is going to be coming up in the future is going to be things to do with carp, coarse fishing. Obviously the trout season will be starting next month as well, so I'm going to be doing trout videos. But then as we get into May time, end of May, beginning of June, I'm going to get back to the jig flies. I've got loads of plans that are coming up with brand new different designs with the jig flies. I've been doing it for the last 5 years, make my own jig flies, make my own spinners, and each year I'm trying new material, I'm trying new lengths, and I'm trying new ways to make them, and each year I'm progressing to. I'm now at a stage where I feel that with my jig flies I know exactly how to make them, but what I'm going to do this year is try different colours with the same types of materials, and I might even try something different, which is all going to be up and coming videos. So that's coming very soon in the next month or so with the carp and the course, and then into May time, the end of May, beginning of June, we'll be getting back into the jig flies and the lures for the pike. Like I say, I'm going to keep on giving you tips and advice as I progress through this trip today, and in return, through showing how I fish for pike, I hope it helps one person. If it gives one person a wee bit of help, then to me it's been a huge success. I don't get sponsored by anybody when I'm doing these videos. The reason I do these videos is because I love the hobby, I love fishing, and I enjoy helping people. I know it might sound a bit cheesy, but it's just who I am, it's my personality. It's good to do something nice for somebody and not want anything in return. And to me, when it comes to the pike fishing, there's a bit of a stigma in the community when it comes to pike fishing. When it comes to like social media and stuff like that, it's a no-go, and if anybody talks about it with pike fishing regarding social media, a lot of people get, especially when it comes to beginners, they get a lot of abuse. So my goals for these videos is just try to help, and the way I look at it, as I always say, if I help one person, then it's been a huge success. And if you're a beginner when it comes to pike fishing, you want any advice regarding whether it's dead baiting, or if it's to do with lures, or if it's to do with trout fishing, or if it's to do with carp fishing, I've got a lot of experience in different types of fishing. The only thing I'm not good at is the fly fishing. I've not done that yet. I'm going to get that maybe next year. But anything other than fly fishing I can probably help somebody with. So if anybody's out there that's a beginner and they're new to fishing and they want to try something and they don't know how to do it, or they don't know how to go about it, send me a message and I'll try and help you as best I can. The bait's been out for an hour. I kind of get into a routine, so every hour I'll re-bring the bait in, I'll recast it out, just in case the bait's in a bad location. There's no point in having the bait out there for hours and missing the opportunity to get a bite. So this is a big bream, so it's a bit of weight to try to bring in. You want to just keep your rod up as high as possible, because you want to try and bring it up without catching the weight or your bait in any of the rocks. As you can see, now I've got up the surface and bring that bait in along. grab your line and take the weight off the pressure of your rock. Just going to have a wee look at it. It's starting to thaw out a wee bit, but it's not had any bites on it. Still in good condition, so that's good to get reset back out. So just here I've got my bait oil, which I'm going to talk to you more about that later on. But I'm just going to inject this into its stomach. And then I'm going to put a wee bit under the scales if I can get it in. That's it. As you can see, it's puffing up here. It's filling up with the oils. And it's starting to pour out, so leave that showing there so I don't stand on it. My line's tight to the weight. I don't know if you'll see it in this camera because of the chop on the water, but you can see the oil slick. So the oil slick is working. So standing back here, you can see the oil slick where the bait's going, so the oil slick's going down that way. That chop has, when the surface is picked up a wee bit, so I need to be careful with that. So this is the second bait brought in. As you can see, it's starting to thaw out. It's getting a bit mushy here at the stomach, but it's only been out an hour, so it's still in good enough condition that I can recast it back out. But this time I'm going to put a wee bit of oil on it. Just put it under the skin. I'm going to do that on both sides. Typical Scotland then. Sunny, freezing, and really windy. So in the first hour the dead bait's been out. It was foggy as you've seen, but it was still trying to get bright. The fog's cleared, the water was still calm, not a single movement on it. Didn't get any notifications as in like by indication I only got that there was anything touching the bait. So after an hour, like I say, I always bring my bait in, I recast it after an hour. But just as I'm bringing that in and I'm redoing that, the next thing, the wind picks really up. It's to be strong winds. I did check the weather, I was supposed to get up to 23 mile an hour winds today, so it is to be windy. I was expecting that. So that's good, because now that it's a chop in the water, there's a bit of movement. When the water's completely calm as ice, as they say, it doesn't tend to be good for the fishing. So now there's a wee bit of movement on the water, and I've put bait oils in that now that the dead bait's frozen out a bit, or thawed out I should say. I see that oil slick on the top of the surface, so that's going to work. Now, as I was mentioning about through this video, I'm going to tell you things that's going to actually help you catch more pike. Some people don't like using oils. I'm the opposite. I love using pike oils, and I like to try and, if I've got a couple of different types of brands of oils and one's starting to run low, and what I'll do is I'll then get an empty plastic bottle and I'll mix the different types of bait so you get different types of scent. Things that I would add into it is like garlic powder. I would also add in maybe bits of tuna, or even trying different types of fish friendly safe food, as in like you get different types of fishing. So you've got like carp fishing, they do different types of scents as well. Mixing it up, try to be different for somebody else, try to add a different fragrance and scent to your bait. I always find it's quite helpful. And one of the main tips that I'll give you that I found has been quite successful over the years is fermented bait. And what I mean by that is, at the end of your session, if you get any blood left in your dead bait packs, add that to your oil. Each time, just keep on adding to it. Over a period of time, what's going to happen is your pike oils, because they're all mixed with different flavours and fragrances and stuff like that, it will probably turn a different colour, probably turn a bit of a brown colour. But that's good. The more scent is the better, in my opinion. Another thing that I'll do is sometimes with a bottle, I'll cut off a mackerel head, or I'll cut off whatever bait I'm using at the time. Each year is different. Sometimes, like for instance, this year I preferred sardines, last year it was trout. So each year it's a different type of bait that I prefer. So whatever you prefer bait that year, cut off the head of that fish and put it in your bottle. Chop it up finely so you can get in, and then leave it in it so it ferments. And the oils will keep it fresh, but what's going to happen over a period of time, that scent is just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. You could add a wee bit of salt to it as well. These are things that I do to my pike oils, and I find it's a 10 times better success than just using standard oils or not using oils at all. Try to be different for somebody else. I tend to find will work in your favour. If you're fishing a water that's quite popular when it comes to pike fishing and people are using the same oils, sometimes a pike might be caught in that oil a few times and recognise that scent, and they might get put off going for that bait. So if you're using a bait oil that nobody else is using, or you're using a different scent, then it might encourage your pike to go for it because it's something different. So these type of things work best. For years since I've been a wee boy, I've always kept aquariums, and through that, that's helped my fishing as well. Because what I've noticed when keeping fish in a fish tank, one of the things that they love is anything the food that's got garlic in it. They go crazy for it. So what I've been starting to do with my pike oils and stuff like that is I've started putting a wee bit of either a garlic clove, or put a wee bit of garlic powder in the oils, make my oils a wee bit of garlic scent. Since I've done that, I've noticed dramatically I've been catching a lot more pike. Now, the last few sessions that I've been up here with Rebecca and we've been catching plenty of pike, that was all using pike oils, and I was using the pike oils that had the garlic in it. And just as a wee test, which I didn't say on the camera, I put the pike oils in Rebecca's bait, and in mine's I didn't. And all what was happening there was I was catching jacks, and she caught one at £17 and she caught another one at £18 in the space of 2 weeks. I then decided to put a bit of pike oil in one of my baits, the exact same oil that I was using before, and I then caught a 12 pounder. But also, because we were using the pike oils and the oils within the scent, we were catching plenty of jacks, we were catching plenty of fish. So, to me, the proof is in the pudding, as I say. When I don't use the pike oils, I don't get it's the same good success. But when I start using them, I start catching fish. And this is a test today, because the first hour I had no oil in it. It was literally, the bait was still reasonably frozen when I cast it as is. This is now into the second hour, and I've put the pike oil in it. Let's see if we start getting bites. First fish that did I can see it. Nice wee jack to start off with there. Let's get us in. I can see somebody else's line. Right, there's my wire trace, and there's somebody else's line here, so I need to be careful with this one. So I'll let it rest, and then I'm going to get the second wire trace out. So, first pike of the day, not the best circumstances. Had somebody else's wire trace down, deep hooked. I've managed to quickly get rid of my hook, my wire trace, sorry, and then I've got rid of the other one. So it's been well rested in the net before I've started to do this clip here. So it's a case now I just letting it go again, but I'm glad I've caught this pike so I could get the other wire trace out at its stomach. So even though it's a wee jack, it's good that I've been able to help it. This is going to grow back to be a big gill hopefully, but it's cracking colours, cracking fish for the first fish of the day. I'm not going to waste it around, let's get it back. The pike's been well rested, I'm just going to help guide it out. The net, I'm just going to hold it there when that's ready to go. Away it goes. It's good to catch a pike and get us off the mark, because that was recast out probably about 45 minutes max. It was just due to come up to it to get it recast out. So what I've done is I've actually recast out all the rods again. But it goes to show, the first hour I was no sign of any fish, the water was completely calm. Now we've got really strong wind, bit of movement on the surface. I've put a bait of oils on and I've caught one. Good side is, I caught a pike. Bad side to it is I was another person's wire trace down its throat. So I feel quite good that I was able to land that pike. I was able to get my wire trace out, no problem. So one, mine was barbless hooks. It was bigger hooks and all, so I could actually grab it easier and get out, but most importantly, because I had the proper bite indication, the hooks, my hooks were in its mouth, whereas the other person's wire trace was down the pike's throat. So I was able to get mine out, no problem. I got it back in the net, got it well rested, then I brought it back in and I took out the other wire trace with no problem. I managed to do that. Then I got it well rested again and I took it back out for a wee quick scene so you can see it on the camera. So that's went back in a better condition than when I caught it, so that's really good. But I've been here 2 hours and this is the third cast. We've been rebaited up with the oils. Apart from the bream still had oil coming out of it, so I didn't re-oil that up, I just sent that back out. But what's against me today is it's really bright sunshine, still really cold, and that wind is horrendous. So, not making excuses, but it's better with a wee bit overcast when it comes to this type of fishing. You find a better success rate. So I'm hoping later on in the day, the sun goes away, gets a bit more cloudy, as it's supposed to with the weather, because the weather today wasn't supposed to be sunshine. And I'm hoping that they start to come back on the feed. So, want to kick off the start of the day, so I'm happy. But just got to keep continuing doing what I'm doing, and we'll catch more. So, as you can see there, the good thing about having your weight through line to a clip is you could unclip the wire trace and it gets your rod out the road, as you've seen with that last pike I had there. So that was on a sardine. I put a sardine on again. I've re-oiled this one up. I was out half an hour, but the last wire trace got a bit mangled, so I'm going to recast this one back out. When it comes to your syringes, always be careful where you leave them. I placed that behind the rock so I wouldn't stand on it, because the last thing you want to do is stand on one of the needles, that's for sure. This is the third time I'm casting this out. You can see I'm still plenty of oil in it, leaking out. I've not re-injected this, but it's starting to look a bit fray. So this might be the last lure I get with it, but we'll try again. So as you can see, it's got quite windy now. I'm going to swap this bait to the bream because it's getting a wee bit plastic shooks. So it's been a hard day today, the wind being really strong, being cold and being very bright. The conditions haven't been the best. Still managed to catch one, and then I've lost another 2. And then the rest of the right indication that I've had has actually came from the waves and not actually fish. So even though it's been a hard day, it's now into the last hour. And I've recasted the dead baits out, I've put more oil in them as well. Let's see how this last hour goes. But we're in the middle of February. Couple of weeks time they're going to be going into spawning, so it's getting to that time of the year where they're going to start switching off the food and they're going to be more interested in doing other stuff. So it's getting there. No making excuses, still got an hour left. Let's see how it goes. You think this was at a beach or something like that, but it's size of these waves. So today has not been the best fishing, but overall this whole season, for as little as I've got out, I'm actually quite proud of what I've achieved so far. I'm also proud with Rebecca mostly catching a personal best. 17 pounder and then an 18 pounder. You can't beat things like that. Through this season as well, I've done a lot of videos trying to help the beginner. Like I say, all the videos are going to be in the description. In the main video I'll put a link up to just here, as I said at the beginning of the video as well, so you can actually watch the videos if you're a beginner. But going forward, I'm going to be doing trout videos, I'm going to be doing perch videos, carp, and I'm also going to be doing different types of coarse fishing as well. But most importantly, I'm going to get back to the canal and I'm going to get back after the pike with my homemade jig flies later on in the year after they finish spawning. But that's it, as always. If these videos help one person, then they've been a huge success. and through watching how I fish and explaining how I fish for the pike, I hope it's helped one person. So till next time, tight lines, and thanks for watching. But nah, can't wait to get back to dead baiting for the pike again later on this year. Tight lines.